starting very soon.
I think it's another 5 seconds.
All the suspense.
I wonder if they can still hear. Oh, there we are.
There we
Hello,
go.
everyone. This
Hey.
is the special edition of the All Things Aged Care. We moved it from Friday to Thursday. This one time only, just because it's Aged Care Employee Day. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much for everything you do in the industry. Super appreciated, and it's going to make life better for all of us when it's our turn. And let's get the intros out of the way. So I'm Anthony Ewan, host of the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. And as an aged care cheerleader and content creator, I showcase the innovators, the change makers, and the people who are inspiring the next wave of workers into an industry that is unfairly perceived as slow, boring, and stale. And speaking of innovators, we also have Robert Covino, founder and CEO of Mirus Australia. He's one of Australia's foremost voices in aged care innovation and data-driven transformation. He's also the driving force behind Mirus Plus, which is a platform that helps aged care providers turn policies into practical solutions. Our third co-host is Owen Matheson, CEO of Mission Critical Group. He's a connector of people and opportunities working behind the scenes to connect businesses, key people, strategic capital partners, and game-changing innovation together to unlock growth. As a natural MC and bringer of good vibes, he will be moderating the bulk of these conversations. And finally, we have opening this stage, setting the scene for this special edition, is Lorraine Paulos. Lorraine, please introduce yourself, set the stage for us, and give some shout outs to employees in aged care.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. What a great idea. Last night, I had the privilege of being at the New South Wales Parliament House, where Ageing Australia was giving the awards for aged care employees with their ACE awards. It was amazing. People were all dressed up in their glam to be celebrated. And we saw everyone from all different parts of the industry being celebrated in New South Wales. So that was really fantastic. The people that I wanted to shout out about today is just, when Anthony asked me, I thought, who would I think of in my long history working across health and aged care? And a couple that came to mind, so many, but a couple were, one was, and it's a personal story because I have a sister who has, we call it UP syndrome, and she's a really just such a dedicated employee of aged care. She worked in an aged care facility in a local country town for 40 years. And wow. She worked as a tea lady, and she also helped out with the activities because she's very high functioning and very crafty. She was so devoted to her job. It was the making of her. And she was one of those little unsung heroes, and she'd often take a little cake to a special resident. So I think my sister Trish would be one of my heroes. And another person is a woman called Linda Brennan. And when I was managing a residential facility, Linda came and started as the head of diversional therapy. And she introduced, every time I'd have a wild idea, which is often, she would make sure that wild idea happened. So we had a choir, we had a snoozling room, we had a gym, we had walking groups, lots of things that 30 or 20 years ago were really not the norm. So they're two people that came to mind. And then at a more strategic level, at a more influencing the industry, I think of the late Professor Tony Bro, who was a very well-known gerontologist from Wollongong University and many other universities. And he and my very dear friend Sharon Wall really led the way in Indigenous aged care and Indigenous health. So they were the ones that jumped out for me, along with so many others.
In your time, you would have definitely had a hard time choosing a handful of people because you've been in aged care for some time. I interviewed, and I want to apologize again, I interviewed Lorraine for the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. Something happened to the audio. It was one of the best conversations. Definitely going to get you back on, Lorraine, next chance I get. But yeah, that's amazing shout outs to all.
I feel privileged, and there's beautiful stories of people working in aged care. Many people say they really feel like they make a difference, whereas in the acute sector, it is very much a bit of a factory, in that you want people out of hospital as quickly as possible. But in aged care, and particularly in home care, which is the area that we specialise in, people have such rich stories about the difference they make to people who can stay and live at home. And then in residential care, in my role on Southern Cross board, we see just amazing stories, and the board is so excited to hear those stories, the difference that people make, the unsung heroes.
That's it. That's what this day is all about, the unsung heroes.
Love that.
And there's a lot of categories too in that. I was looking at some of these categories, and probably last night too, Lorraine, you can share on the ACE Awards, but some of the areas that I heard groups across the country are celebrating are long service staff. That's a category of our clients and team members. I know traveling around today, everyone's quite busy with a lot of their teams, and definitely mentors and trainers. We have a lot of people who continue to support the colleagues and their colleagues in their development, because the skills in our sector are so diverse, and you need those skills to really manage the complexities, the family expectations, the dimensions now that just fall in what used to be more of a simple aged care industry, or a convalescent industry on that side. Certainly resident advocates. There's some beautiful people out there that are the strongest resident advocates. And I also remember this quite vividly during the COVID years, when you'd be on site, and those advocates were really there to protect and support those residents that were extremely vulnerable. And certainly with, I think we had a couple groups at the ACE Awards last night that were up, and I'm actually interested to know how they went. But Harbison Aged Care, I'll give a shout out, because David Cochran, the CEO, and his teams there are quite amazing what they've done. But also, David hired an entire A380 pilot and training staff. I think they had 4 pilots that worked for Qantas that no longer had a role at Qantas due to the grounding of the aircraft. And they were able to bring them in and really contribute into what is quite a beautiful organization, and really continue to be resident advocates, but also share some of those mentor and training as someone who comes from a very different industry, and with I would say similar pressures that you have and wear on your shoulders as facility managers, directors of nursing, care managers under the new guard. So that was quite beautiful to see. So shout out to those groups in that front.
Well, Lorraine, stay. Oh, sorry. If you had something further to add, Robert, go ahead.
I was just going to say, any other categories too that stand out to you, Lorraine? What did you hear last night at the ACE Awards?
The New South Wales winner last night was James from Southern Cross, and James is a physio, and he introduced the GUIDE program, really motivating people to be more active in residential aged care, and that was great. And just some of the innovations he did, like making sure that people who were on respite got as much equipment as they possibly could before they became permanent residents. But also his manager was there, and she said, just having fun. And I think that's the thing. I used to have such fun. It was hard work, but we had really good fun working in aged care. You don't have that, and you can have that fun. Whereas in other health sectors, it's life and death, and it's quite serious. I'm not saying that aged care is not serious, but you can have a bit more fun, and you find really good, deep friendships and deep connections. And there's also a lot of sadness, because you get to know and love those people that you're looking after. And so you just hope that they have a good death. And I think we underestimate sometimes the value, and that those people giving the teas out by the bedside, sitting with them at night during those last hours, how valued they are.
Here, and just and your sister Trish, just to say thanks, Trish. We'd love it for people to hear her name.
Great shout out. Just quickly,
to all
Lorraine,
the tea ladies out there. Yeah,
to all the tea ladies out there. Lorraine, we do want to hear more from you. I'm going to add you backstage. We'll bring you back. We'll chat further towards the end of this stream. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Cool. A couple of people sent in some videos, and
Oh,
I think
fantastic.
the video that kicked this all off was Libby Hemet's video. So we're going to play
Love
that first.
Libby.
We've got a full house.
Happy Aged Care Employee Day, everyone.
Hey!
Big shout out to Anthony and his team for inviting me into their big important space with my little voice. A little bit about me. I'm Libby. I work at Brenner, communication app designed for residential aged care. I've been in the industry for over 25, going 26 years, starting both in the motherland of New Zealand and then here in Australia. My biggest shout out and thank you is to my mother. She gave me the foundation of working in aged care and staying in aged care. She taught me resilience. She had so much resilience. She taught me how to give dignity and that compassionate care, how to truly listen to the residents on what they were saying and be appreciative of all of the stories that they tell you. If you know that if we've ever crossed paths, I bring quite an energy, quite chatty. Sometimes I'm going to say I have not mastered the art of being quiet yet. One day. But to everyone working in aged care, to the nurses, the cleaners, the lifestyle, the PCs, maintenance, your admin team, your vendors, everyone. There's so many. And I'm so glad that we've got a whole day to be able to recognise that and celebrate everybody. Everything that we do matters. It's down from the smallest things, everything matters. So also to the nurses who have let me be their mentor, who's trusted me, who has allowed me to be their sounding boards, even in the middle of the night. I thank you, and I'm so appreciative. Every home, every role that I've ever been in has shaped who I am, and everyone has played a piece of that. So my biggest shout out before I get Terry is a huge thank you to Melissa Osterhoff. She is the most extraordinary human being that I have come across. She just works tirelessly to make sure that the residents, the staff, the future of aged care is better. Everybody matters. Even if you have the smallest voice, you matter. And she just makes my life and the aged care sector so much better for being in it. Thank you.
What a start! Does anyone else tear up? Like I watched it the first time I watched that. I was holding him back. Once she said she was tearing up, it was a battle to hold her back.
And
Yeah.
let's give a shout out to Melissa Osterhoff, and she's the facility manager at Elderly Care in the Gold Coast. Is that right, guys?
Gold Coast.
Yeah, sunny Gold Coast.
Shout out
just
Melissa.
up the road.
Mr. Gold.
And
Beautiful.
background before that in Palm Lake Care. So she she's gone the distance, and so we love what you're doing, Melissa. And please, if you see Melissa, give her a big hug or a high five and thank her for all the good work she's doing. Thanks, Libby. You are all heart.
Thanks, Libby.
We love your passion
Melissa.
for aged care.
Love it. All right. Next video is from Adam Roebuck.
You've asked me to give a shout out to some of the people I work with in aged care, and I'm going to give a shout out to the CEOs, CFOs, directors of property, directors of finance, and board members that I work with on an exceptionally regular basis. I don't think you can ever underestimate the challenges that these beautiful men and women go through every day, trying to manage compromise and the balancing act to achieve really good outcomes for those that are most vulnerable. So my shout out is to the men and women at the top of the hierarchy who enable this awesomeness of aged care to take place. So that's it, mate. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
And that goes back to, thank you, Adam. And that goes back to a question I asked Catherine Stoddard when she was on this stream. You know, when things go wrong, a lot of pressure builds up. Everyone turns to the CEO because the buck stops there, but who do the CEOs turn to? So yeah,
Great
definitely good appreciation towards the CEOs.
Absolutely, it's a big job to carry. I mean, with so much underway, and you think about the level of responsibility that both the exec teams and even the directors of these businesses now hold. So I agree, it's a great call out, great suggestion there.
We also feel for those with the emerging changes and tighter restrictions with governance and risk and compliance. You've got new directors coming in that don't have a background in aged care. They don't have a grounding in all of the complexities. So we really need our unsung heroes to share their knowledge. People like the Lorraines of the world, Angelica Copeland, who, people that have just given all that they have to sow into those boards to try and steer them right. So we want to give a shout out to all the board advisors in the corner of those boards, because that's a special role as well.
Absolutely.
All
right, here we go. Next to the stage is Lo. Well, I'm going to butcher your name.
Lo. Hey, Lo.
Hey, Lo.
I think you're on mute, Lo.
That's okay. Go have a try. I'm interested to hear how you pronounce it.
Hey, Lo.
Well done. That was a
like
croisé.
Really?
It's really good. Yeah, it's French.
Introduce yourself. Tell us, full name, job title, organization, and give your shout outs.
I'm Lo. I'm the head of growth and community for Happy Valley Home Care. I'm myself am based in Newcastle, but our business is based in Victoria, beautiful Melbourne. I actually wanted to give a shout out to two different people for two different reasons. Is it all right if I go ahead and do the shout out?
Go ahead. Yes.
Absolutely. Sure day.
So someone that both Anthony and I met at a recent conference is Viv Allenson from Maroba. So if you're lucky enough to have ever been in the orbit of Viv, you will straight away be nodding probably and, very happy and excited to have met her. I was very lucky to be invited to her facility where I met all of her aged care staff, a lot of the elderly people that are living there and Viv. I've also met the new CEO who's taking over from Viv, and I just want to give a huge shout out to them for just making, regional Newcastle this little pocket of great aged care. That facility is all about love. Viv always says to love out loud. I've been invited to speak at an aged care forum in Melbourne, and my whole presentation is all about loving out loud. And that's thanks to her. So she's absolutely touched my life. In the last fortnight, I've met probably about 15 different people who have said to me, oh, Viv, I met her a few years ago and she said this to me and it changed my life. Oh, Viv, she said this and it changed my life. She is a force, that woman. And, we need more people like her that are just putting those feelers out there to make aged care this great, wonderful future for us and our kids, I think.
That's absolutely 100% agree with your shout out to Viv there.
Definitely. And I'd also love to give a shout out to my boss, Jess Smith. Jess couldn't join us at the moment, but she's based in Melbourne. Her brother and sister-in-law are in labour at the moment, so it's very exciting for their family.
Congrats.
Jess started Happy Valley Home Care as a passion project, and it still is. And I just think it's so important to talk about the executives of aged care who, really understand that you're not in aged care to make money. You are here to help people. This is a person-centered industry. And your clients, your older people are so important, but they are just as important as your support workers and your staff. Because if you can build that resilience in your staff and have them as a united front who with, strong minds and strong hearts and they feel supported, it's so easy for them to impart joy and easily and consistently and repetitively in aged care. So a shout out to Jess Smith, my boss, CEO and founder, but to anyone, anyone who's like her, anyone who has a boss like her who lets you, function and be and love aged care. Like, thank you, because it's a collaborative thing, isn't it? It's not just a one person thing. It's all of us working together as a united front.
I think we're all tearing up here, Lo. Thanks. Real men cry, obviously. and I can't resist. We've just seen Happy Gilmore come out, and you are literally living and working in a happy place.
I'm telling you, it means something. It makes a difference.
How cool to get paid to do what you love all day, every day, and it comes through. We really thank you and Jess and Viv and all the amazing Happy Valley team. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lo.
So
Thanks
great
for sharing.
to being here, Bado. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Gotcha.
That was a great story.
Got such great energy, doesn't she?
So good.
Oh, there's so much great energy out there. I mean, I think we reflect on some of these comments now, and you think about the dimensions of your work environment is also somebody's home. So it's the balancing act of all of that in between, and yay to bosses. Yeah, it's a good shout out.
All right, next we have Paul Sadler. Paul Sadler doesn't need an intro, but Paul, please introduce yourself
Paul.
anyway.
Hi guys, how you all going?
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
Better to see you, my friend.
Oh, very good, very good. I'm glad to hear that. These days working my own consultancy business, but also doing a few other things, chair of Meals on Wheels, chair of Meaningful Aging Australia, working with Invox with Roland Northall and the team there. And so, yes, I kind of get to pop my head up every now and then and talk on aging issues.
We've seen you around.
Well, thank you for popping in.
I'm delighted.
Shout out too, Paula. You raised
please.
a new area. It's the advisors, it's the advocacy, it's the consulting network, it's the teams that are really continue to progress the good work and really.
Yeah, and I've had the privilege of working, in advocacy organisations a few times at state and national level on the boards. So I was chair of Aging Community Services Australia before I went in to work there as national CEO, and obviously, was there at the beginning of what is now Aging Australia, when we merged AXA and Laser together. So, yeah,
sounds familiar. Sounds familiar.
A couple of people just stick out to me. I first got into the aged care sector as a graduate social worker and worked with an aged care assessment team in my first job. And one of the people who really stuck out to me there was one of the founders of geriatric care in Australia. Dick Jeeves was his name. He was a geriatrician and the founder of a model of care at Hornsby Hospital in Sydney, where they did a multidisciplinary team approach and was very much about home visits, seeing people in their context. They had a particular model at Hornsby where we would do joint home visits between the social workers on the team and the doctors. Right. So you got that social perspective, but also the perspective of the medical needs of the older person as well. And then we had registered nurses, occupational therapists and others on the team as well as us. And Dick was just a fantastic person, a real character, the life of the party. He, used to dress up as Father Christmas each year.
Ho, ho, ho.
The hospital wards, bringing cheer to all the people who were stuck in. And I remember one of the things that he used to recommend to the patients was a stout. So, getting good nourishment and a little bit of alcohol at the same time. So
that's right.
A winning combination, perhaps.
Winning combination. And then as I've gone through, aged care, I bumped into, literally hundreds, if not thousands of people who've worked in the sector and have made some, great friends. Yeah. Some of the people whose names have come up, like Viv, obviously know Viv very well. But I just wanted to call out some of the people who've lasted for, 35, 40 years in the sector. When I was at Presbyterian Aged Care, we used to celebrate milestones for our staff. And in some of the residential care services, it wasn't uncommon to have people who chalked up 25 years, 30 years, even 35 years working, sometimes at the one place, but often they'd moved around the aged care sector a bit. But, that continuity of love and care that those people bring is just, really nothing short of astonishing. And a day where we think of all the people who work in the aged care sector, those aged care assessment team staff, have got a really important role. Obviously the people who work for the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, our colleagues in the department need to be remembered as well for their contributions. And obviously the people who work in our peak bodies, the vendors, which I got to mention earlier, there's so many people who go up to make the contributions that the sector is rightfully proud of.
Amazing longevity, Paul. I mean, compared to other sectors, it's such a care-focused sector. That must be an amazing case study for social services to see that sort of tenure in an industry.
Yeah, and in Meals on Wheels, we celebrated last year 70 years of operation in Australia. So, some of the organisations that are involved in the sector, the Benevolent Society, Australia's first charity, which is still heavily involved in the home care sector, they talked up 200 years a few years back. So, there are people who've been and organisations who have got long histories.
Only a couple of centuries.
Forgive me if I missed it, Paul. If I missed it, did you mention Did you mention some names, or did I completely miss it, or was it really too hard to narrow it down to a few people?
Well, I mentioned Dick Jeeves earlier.
Yes.
I could name multiple people that I worked with over the years, but
go ahead, rattle them off.
Please. This is the moment. Seize the day.
Seize the day. Well, some of the people
let's go.
That I remember, there was Marita who wrote a book on caring for older people and was our facility manager in Drummoyne when I worked at Presbyterian Aged Care. I think of people like Indra Arunachalam that I worked with in Aged and Community Services, New South Wales. And then worked with her when she moved into working for integrated living. So, they're just some of the people, but I could,
You could go for days.
Be here all day.
Well, Paul, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And when you think of the saying, standing on the shoulders of giants, that's you're who I think of, Paul, in terms of aged care. So thank you for everything you've done for the sector and continue to do, and appreciate you sharing and shouting out on the stream today.
Great, thanks.
Paul.
And we look forward to having you back for many more stories, Paul. We know there's a lot more, like a great iceberg right beneath the surface.
I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to coming on in the future.
We'd love to have you back.
Cheers, Paul.
Can I just say, guys, too, Hornsby Hospital, 2 of my children were born there. The most lovely, accommodating, thoughtful people, great culture. So a shout out to Hornsby Hospital and the amazing work that they do. My first child, Josiah, my beautiful baby girl, and my son, Cruz. And so really grateful to the people at Hornsby Hospital for the great work.
Shout out Hornsby Hospital. Okay, all right. So next up is Ben Happ. He's a bit of a celebrity in our inner circle because he has contributed so much to a conversation, many of our conversations. Adding Ben Happ. How you going, Ben?
How are we, gents?
Hey, Ben.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Ben, I love your word of the week. I think we've already got consensus out there in the industry that everyone would love to see a word of the week from Ben Happ. You had us with infobesity.
No,
yeah, so
okay,
if
you
were prepared to accept the challenge, we are live.
Throwing down the gauntlet. Yeah, gee.
Yeah.
I guess
yeah.
No choice but to accept. All right. I'll have to think of one for
come
this week.
on. Yep, love it. So, and they all said, fantastic.
Awesome. Well,
give us a quick intro and
yes.
intro first.
Oh yeah,
shout out, and then while you're talking, try to think of the word of the week.
Word of the week. Gotcha. Yeah, no pressure. All right, I'll jot down some notes. So I'm just a general mischief maker here in the transformation team at Feros Care. So my official title is Support at Home Reform Manager, but it's a big gig. But I've got a great team that we work with to sort of get us ready for November 1. And yeah, I've sort of been working with Feros Care and in the community for about 15 years, started as a physio and sort of have evolved along the way, and sort of takes me to my shout out, which is Anne-Marie Ormsby, who is, yeah, that's right. We're doing the pump up the roof.
Let's go, Anne-Marie.
I'm on. So unfortunately, Anne-Marie couldn't be available at this time. I know Owen's been stalking it, but she's actually delivering some training to some of her new colleagues. So it sort of speaks to who Anne-Marie is. She's a regional support here in my local area of Coffs Harbour. And I sort of got to meet her back when I was a physio doing the rounds, and every client I went to, you know, they were all talking about this Anne-Marie, and I hadn't met Anne-Marie at this stage. And I was like, who is this person? You know, that everyone kept talking to. And sure enough, eventually we crossed paths and it just suddenly made sense. It's just, I mean, the best way I can probably do Anne-Marie justice is, you know, my parents are just on the fringes of aged care now. And if I think about who I would like to go and provide care to my parents, it would be Anne-Marie. She's that sort of quintessential person who is aged care. And, you know, if she won the lotto tomorrow, she'd be back doing the same gig. She's just sort of born for the role. So that's how I describe Anne-Marie.
We love Anne-Marie. And look, I was unofficially or allegedly stalking, but she did
yeah, sorry, allegedly.
But she did respond. So full credit to her. She said, I'm flat out. I would have loved to come. Please say hi to everyone. But I'm doing what I love, you know, delivering training. So what better...
I've got a word of the week for that. That is dedicawesome.
Dedicawesome. Okay.
I'm just going to borrow that one. I'll just relay it back to you in a moment.
Rob, please explain.
Oh, well, it's just being awesome through dedication. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Well, I feel sorry for Anne-Marie's inbox. She's going to be flooded with congratulatory messages and requests to look after their parents.
Yes, please. Get in early, guys. Limited space available.
Yeah, but I haven't thought of a word of the week on the fly, but I guess like a phrase of the week, and it sort of ties in with Anne-Marie again, is, you know, in recent conferences, I've heard of this idea of, you know, relational care versus transactional care. And again, that was Anne-Marie 10 years ago, and the sector's just catching up to this idea of, you know, the power of relational care. So there you go. Phrase of the week. Sorry, I have to work on the word.
I think there's something in that for all of us, Ben. Thank you. And you've also got a shout out from Lorraine. She says you're making a real difference with support at home information and guidance. So You're getting a shout out right back at you, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard gig to follow, and you've got Lorraine and Paul and others. And I should have probably taken a leaf out of Lowe's book and given a shout out to my boss, but next time.
Next time.
On
Stay
your day.
tuned.
Thanks so much, Ben. Appreciate having you on, and we're definitely going to have you on for a more dedicated conversation in the near future.
That's right. And a shout out for Ben Happ.
Ben Happ.
Can you pump the roof yourself? Yeah.
Raise it.
Thanks, guys.
Raise the roof.
Cheers, Ben.
That is.
What a legend, Robert. You've
So
how many
good.
people in your team?
Oh, yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a
You got to
35.
give some shout outs, man.
You better not forget
well,
anyone, Rob.
good point. I'll come back to like team past, present, and potentially future. But yeah, so my team, I would say, I was thinking about representation of how to also think about this in the context of the industry, but the bean counters. So we got Sudhi, who's our financial controller, does a great job just keeping the numbers and then the beans all lining up. And I think that's also another unsung hero out there in aged care world, but a lot of pressure on keeping those books balanced and reported to government. Certainly from our head of product and platforms, get Ben Sturzacker down in Melbourne with
Love Ben.
really dedication. And there's room for Ben. And then our head of customer, Susan Horvath, who she's also a
Good on you, Susan.
custodian of the brand, but also really drives that customer-centric value proposition that we hold dear to us at Maersk and part of our culture side of it. And then of course, because we're a data team, we have our data nerds. We love them. Very good pulling insights out. But Tyler Fisher, another yank over
Love
here.
Tyler.
Loving it. And certainly some of the teams that deliver really where the tech and the data hit the road. Head of implementations and client services, Joyce. We have Stephen Rowan, who's also been with us for well over a decade. And I think reflecting on the tenure comments, now we have been 21 years. Manad, that's dedication to private companies as well. But it's all about really moving forward and progressing this magnificent sector and industry. And I think that's also why a lot of our teams come and worked in Maersk. And as Paul was saying, like a lot of the vendors out there, people love and can contribute, whether they're working sometimes in provider side or they're over still part of our ecosystem, but playing different roles. So I love that about our sector, and I love how it really drives. It drives for also a better understanding of problems, because when you're on the other side, you're receiving, you're dealing with it at the coalface, and that's what it's amazing. Oh, and maybe you could share our little stat we get a lot of comments about too. Is the boomerang stat. I think no one's looked at our business quite a bit, but we have a stat where we have a lot of team members that move between Maersk and go back to the industry, and we love that, because I don't want to. I don't want to lose any of our team to outside the industry. And they go to other parts that they continue to evolve their careers, and then a lot of them end up coming back in the Maersk to then continue to serve, but with a new awareness, new skills. And so that's really what I love about also how we contribute as part of our role in the ecosystem to continue to make aged care better.
A shout out to the entire Maersk Australia team.
I think he's done pretty well to diplomatically walk that line. Go, Maersk.
It's not hard. It's not easy to shout people out, because you don't want to miss people.
Anthony Manad. So we've got it's now Maersk Plus, but there's some great team members on the Manad side, obviously, Robert. Maybe two that come to mind. We know that Mark's doing the friendly smile and the friendly face of the help desk at Maersk. At Manad, which is now Maersk. So, and
that's
who else?
Recognificent. There's another word there.
Oh, recognificent. There we go. They're all flying now. They're flowing. There's an
it's
overflow.
Coming out.
And wow. And obviously the guy who started it all over on the Manad side, Peter Staples.
The godfather.
The OG.
The OG. The Honourable.
The Honourable, that's right. So a shout out to Mr. Peter Staples,
Peter
the OG,
Staples.
the original Aged Care Minister of Australia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think we add Lorraine back. She had a few more people to shout out. And
Brilliant.
With Lorraine coming back, we can also cover any
Welcome back, Lorraine.
pressing news of the week as well.
Yeah. So what would you like to go? What should we go first with? Some shout outs?
Yeah, so let's finish off the shout outs and we can chat about all things aged care.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it was probably remiss of me not to mention all those people that are leading the peak bodies. They do an amazing job. It's so hard. I sat with Paul on AXA New South Wales board back from 2000 to 2006 or 7, I think. And, it's really hard because you're trying to keep your members happy. You're trying to be the go-between with government, and it's not always easy. So I think shout out to those people in those positions. But also I think there are people like the gardeners. And if you work if you've got a residential facility where there are perhaps men as residents who love to do tools and work in the garden, and to see those work alongside residents, I think is really rewarding. And the volunteers that come in, it's not easy. Aged care is not always glamorous. So I think those people who work in lifestyle, and last night at the awards in Parliament House, they had Ada Cheng, who's also someone that I would shout out to from Australian Nursing Home Foundation. I think she has retired from there. And she is it Daisy? I think it's Daisy, the robot. So she had the AI.
Yes, Daisy.
And it sort of was this not conflict, but it was, is it a juxtaposition? I don't know if that's the word, but you had people there being recognized for their work, and then you had Daisy the robot doing exercises and a video of her doing exercises, and then someone speaking to her, asking her something in a different language. So it was interesting, and I felt that there were people in the room that felt really uncomfortable, and then there were people that were really excited about the possibilities. But one of the things that Daisy said was, I'm here so that the nurses can go back to doing their administration work. And there was a collective groan, because that's what we're trying to get away from. Like Daisy to do the admin work, to work out the billable hours in home care. So that was interesting. But I think some of the hot topics obviously are, and we've talked about it before, Rob, on a podcast that we did around, digital transformation. And now, of course, it's a very hot topic. And what part does AI play, and how reliable is it? And I took a family member to the doctor just recently, and they said, do you mind if I use AI? She said it might work and it might not work, but we're all trialing it. So I think that's a big hot topic. People are worried about their jobs, particularly if they're not in that frontline working job. And then the whole sector, residential, retirement and home care, are being really squeezed financially. So those people at the coalface, I think, have probably, their jobs are a lot safer than some of the ones that are behind the scenes, as we see, programs like yours and others start to automate the industry. Where do we fit? And we would hope that means there's going to be more people available to do the care. So that was really interesting to see this AI robot, Daisy or Alice, I'm sorry, I can't remember, doing the exercise programs and the residents sitting looking at Alice. And then I thought, well, when you introduce things like the cats that purr and doll therapy and sometimes having just a recording of a family's voice member, is it any different really? But yeah, it was a bit confronting, I think. Maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, we'll be having a completely different conversation.
I'm excited for the future and scared.
It'd be hard to replace the human touch, Lorraine, the tender, loving care of our aged care employees. When we saw Lo and the passion that she has, and her founder of the Happy Valley, she founded that for a reason, because she wants to bring happiness into their lives. She wants to see joy overflow. I can't see a robot stimulating joy and wrapping their arms around people. So there's always going to be a need. I see technology more as low value, outsource, so more high value care can take place.
Yeah, exactly. And in particularly in the home care setting, where you have Nests, Google Nests and whatever, prompting people to take their medication, enabling them to call someone if they have a fall. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for care workers to be able to access information at the point of care, I think we're going to see this dramatic change in the next 12 to 18 months of AI and what that means. I don't know what you guys think. Yeah.
I know, Rob, you've done some areas in the observational and the clinical side, and how we can empower nurses to be on the front foot.
Yeah, it's we call it here caring ingenuity in terms of our word side of it. But really, I think if we look at what AI is good at, it is good at synthesizing and sort of going over vast amounts and volumes of information, and then also within guided constructs such as a policy and procedures. And I think if we look at a lot of our manual HI, human intelligence activities that our clinicians need to do, whether it's just basic reporting or required reporting, it's a task, but a lot of that work is something that we can augment and really bring the insights out of the data and just get to the decision-making point, which is because I've got clients that spend 12 days a month just working on their quality indicator reports every month. Just that's what some of their RNs are doing and spending their time. And to me, that's silly. Like it's not silly we have to report this. What's silly is that we still are relying upon a lot of these high value team members that their time could be spent so much better with families, with coaching, even mentoring the next generation of our missions and aspiring team members that really want to maybe transition from enrolled nurse and grow into a registered nurse and so forth. So I think that's going to be where a lot of the first changes are coming, and a lot of it's also being imposed on us because of the fact we have a new regulatory environment, and a lot of the vendors coming at this from a vendor hat on. These systems and these ways of working they weren't constructed in our software 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and we're working hard to really get that there. So in this interim transition phase, like there is a lot of extra manual tasks and load on these people. So I certainly feel for them. But how we can move that administration time and make that almost something that just happens as you just exist within your environment and just carry on seeing the residents and imagining the world where all of that required documentation, those gaps, those risks, so all those items are really just being picked up by the technology and the AI. That's where this is heading, and that is exciting because it is just augmenting, effectively an undersupply of critical staff. That we are in a country that has a sort of skill shortage glut, so we have to find ways to bridge those gaps. And I know in Lorraine with support at home, it's even looking much larger as a gap, but we will have to close those gaps with other ways. So I don't think anyone shouldn't be worried about their jobs, their real their roles within that delivery of care. I think what will happen is that we'll be able to control and see risk better. We won't have to do the manual, looking through the care notes and seeing if this directive is being followed within the charting. These will just be things that will naturally just sort of bubble up.
I think when we look at the people that we are celebrating today, there are clinicians who sometimes, particularly in aged care, they're having to deal with comorbidity, so lots of different diseases. And that can be challenging because if you're working, for instance, in the hospital sector in the cardiac ward, then you're all cardiac, and if you're working, you know, in hemodialysis, you know, renal, that's your area of expertise. But in aged care, you're dealing with lots and lots of issues. So for them to be able to put all that information together and get really reliable evidence-based care, I think will be a game changer. So, you know, maybe Daisy, the AI person, was not so, was not so silly, in that maybe that's the sort of work that they can be doing really good clinical judgment, so that they're making good decisions about when to send someone to hospital and when not to, because that's the big chestnut, I think, that is in the sector, is the hospitals don't want residents sent to unnecessarily into emergency where they might get infections and not get the care that they would be getting in their home in the facility. And the facility is nervous about not sending someone off because of family and other stakeholders, i.e. the commission, saying, well, why didn't you follow this person up? So I think they can work side by side. But that's our track, Anthony and Owen, isn't it? Sorry.
And look, I think there was a collective sigh of relief when Robert said HI, that it's human intelligence, and AI is here to serve us. It's to help us to serve and care better, and it's harnessing the power of AI for good. So I think there's a collective sigh of relief out there for everyone that it's a good thing. You know, managed the right way. I think you were very clever, Lorraine, to throw in a word of the week contender with juxtaposition, you multitasker. and given your breadth of experience, we really wanted to land on a topic that you thought most encapsulated what aged care employees do well, or in order to care the best we can. What is it? What do aged care employees, you know, really bring to the table when it comes to mind around, you know?
Yeah, the majority of aged care workers that I know are forming relationships and they're listening. And if they go into their work with this attitude of listening and serving, and you know, there are a lot of people who work in aged care because they want to serve, they want to make a difference. You've got a good leader. So if you have a good leadership, you know, Paul talked about, Viv talked about others in the sector. And when I've been to facilities, you know, we do reviews and audits, and it is the facility manager makes or breaks that culture. So I think it's relationships and respect and listening, and particularly if someone's got some cognitive impairment, that, you know, how can people see past that to know who that person is? Yeah, I don't know that I've articulated that well, but it's such, I just say you can have such a great career in aged care and such great fun in aged care. And when you hear of people who've worked in the acute sector and then they come into home care or aged care, that's the thing they say. I never wanted to work in aged care. I spent 10 years on the New South Wales Medical Board, worked in and out of health, all sorts. And aged care was not my dream job, but it ended up becoming my dream job by default. So I think for those people who are, you know, wherever you are, you can, you know, all these modern guru type words, you can be what you want to be in aged care if you're committed and you're prepared to take those opportunities, massive opportunities.
Thank you, Lorraine. And I think we hear that. Yeah, a shout out for listening. That we're all because Paul Sadler would agree with you. He said, I also thought of listening as the key to a good aged worker. So much love from Paul there. And this idea of active listening, you can nod and smile, but are you really present? Are you really there and listening and picking up, you know, on what, you know, because it's that real connection. Again, AI can't do that. It can't be present with people the way our amazing aged care employees are. We'd also like to give a shout out. Paul Sadler would like to give a shout out to some of your former colleagues, Lorraine. David Fleming and Marisa Galeazzo.
Oh, thank you, Paul. That's really lovely. And, you know, we all know each other and there's so many, we just love promoting new people coming through. Paul's the same. It's such a great sector to work in. Yeah.
And Ben Happ would like to say, shout out to the All Things Aged Care team for promoting aged care and breaking down some of the stigma of working in this awesome industry. Well done, guys, and keep up the great work. And we know that teamwork makes the
dream work. We'll work on that because, you know,
work on that one, guys. I think.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to dream.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Makes the.
I can see Lo like farming herself.
We're on a journey, guys. Stay with us.
That was an awesome one. Congratulations to everyone in aged care. All Things Aged Care weekly wrap up is finished, and thank you to every aged care worker on Aged Care Employee Day.
And we definitely want Lorraine back, don't we, everyone? Everyone says...
And Ben and everyone. I can just talk over water. Trust me.
All right, here we go. I'm clicking it. See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Wait.